All right, everybody, it is Don here with, I don't know whether I call this part one or part two. Anyway, let's start with this. And these are some steps to take, and a lot of it has to do with how you pay attention, focus, and see things. Now, one of the things that I did when we went and talked to the doctor, my wife went with me, and I allowed her to know all the technical information that she wanted to, and I didn't. I didn't need to know. I don't need to know what a particular lab result was. It did not matter in the process of the game I chose to play. Does that make sense to everybody? So when my M spike number came back at such and such, I didn't know because I didn't care. I knew that I was going to go through the process of consuming the pills at the given time, in the given date, in the given order, and do all the necessary things. And I was going to play it as a game. Now, one of the things that I did very seriously, I don't know if I'd call it seriously, is every person that I talked to in every doctor's office or every time I went to the lab to have the vampire stick me in the arm, and it was sometimes 2 and 3 times a week, I made everybody laugh. That was part of the game that I played. Everybody got to laugh. I recall one young lab tech that came, and I sat down, great big hulking kid, really nice guy. And he says to me, "It's my first day." And I said, "Good. That means if you hurt me, I get to hurt you too." And we both wound up laughing. But that's part of how it works. Every time I got to laugh, I was not in serious mode, because when you go into that serious mode game, you lose ground. And when you go into laughter mode, you win ground. Now, one of the stories that I heard from someone else who was telling their experience was the guy, it was like 25 years ago, and his mother was just diagnosed, and she was in the hospital still, and I don't remember the whole story. She was not conscious at the time, so the doctor had not had the opportunity to go in and tell her what was going on. And he sat the doctor down in his office and said, "You will never, ever, ever tell my mother that she has X amount of time to live." Very important thing, because once they say you have X number of days, weeks, or months, you can't get that out of your head. You cannot change how you perceive it. And for most people, that becomes the reality, whether they want to or not, because that's the way we're wired as people. So avoid that conversation at all costs. And then someone asked me, okay, so what happens if you have less time than you think you have? Well, I am of the belief that you should be pretty much set up with your papers and processes and everything in order anyway. Because let's look at it this way. Who knows whether you're going to go out and get in your car and drive down the street this afternoon and have some meteor fall out of the sky and nail your car and end it all for you. Okay, that's about as absurd as I can get. But the reality is we don't know when. So why should some doctor's pronouncement be the thing that causes us to have an end? Right? Everybody get that? So stop having those conversations of how much time do I have left, because any doctor doesn't know. They're only guessing. Well, I can guess as well as anybody else, and I can say I have as much time as I choose. And at this point, I chose to have a whole lot more decades than they think. So what? Who's going to be right? Who's going to say that, I don't know, some untoward other accidental thing is not going to happen? And surprise! So your will should always be in order. your paper should always be in order and all that stuff. Just as a matter of life, you should have the necessary documents in case something happens to you and go into the hospital, yada, yada, yada. Make your choices now while you're conscious and comatose and competent instead of when, oops, it's too late. So that is my first set of rules to live by. Live every day like it's a good day, because it will be. And if you enjoy it and you go and at some point in time, I'll share some of my amusing stories about some of the uncomfortable things that have happened to me. And, it's a game. I always make people laugh. As my last word on this subject, I will tell you the story. One of the things that I have is gout. And because the nature of the chemo, it created a flare-up in my gout that was beyond the capability of the drugs to keep ahead of. So I wound up getting the cortisone shot in my big toe. And as I'm doing it and telling the doctor a joke and laughing hysterically, and there's tears pouring down because it really hurt. And she's looking at me with this quizzical look. Why are you laughing at this? And when she was finished and I actually got a chance to catch my breath, I said, because when I make it laugh, the endorphins run, and it's a whole lot easier than not. So that's the rule for you. Go out and do it. Make it fun. Continue. I'll do more of these little short snippets, and we'll go from there. It's Don Silver. I am the Can Survive Mind. Talk to you soon.